Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you're at. Dr. Mom Live with my Moving Forward series. Sorry, I'm a little underdressed today. I'm so busy. So I have to just get moving. And I did my bodybuilding update this morning, so I gotta get this one going. Anyway. Okay, this is my Moving Forward series. We are working on, oh goodness, my kitty. Oh, working on building a strong foundation, goal setting, and continued self-development. And part of this series is building spirituality. Part of our building a strong foundation is understanding spirituality. I'm a Christian, not everyone is. So I got this Bible study when I worked with some of my friends in my 100 video challenge, and we started talking about doing a Bible study on women of the Bible. And so even if, I hope you don't find it offensive. I know some people, I don't know, maybe they've had religion crammed down their throat or whatever. That's not what I'm trying to do. I like being independent. I like empowering other women. I like being empowered, and I find studying historic women of history very empowering. I can read about their life, compare myself to them, see what worked for them, what didn't. I also very much enjoy studying the Bible as far as historical book, let alone spiritual, but there's never, ever anything I've found or read in the Bible that has been negative in my life. It's always helped me in profound ways. So that's why I'm studying it. I hope you enjoy it. Please make sure, if you are following, or even if you're not, subscribe, like, and hit the bell. It helps me to move forward. So I'm here 5 days a week on my Moving Forward challenge series. 1 day a week on Fridays on my bodybuilding update, and then over the weekend I usually post one on my house remodel, which I'm really close to finishing. I'm a couple weeks out, doing some tiling now, and once that's complete, I'll move into my Moving on the Road series, going mobile with Dr. Mom. I bought an RV. It's setting out in my driveway. I'm loading it as I'm unloading my house and getting rid of my stuff. I'm getting my RV ready to travel. Okay, so I am a businesswoman, entrepreneur, blogger now, I guess, if that's what you call it. Mom, grandma, friend. I like bodybuilding, flipping houses. I've got a plethora of things that I love as far as hobbies. I like riding bike and working out, things like that. I'm doing this to help others and help myself in return to move forward. So with that, I'm going to get moving because I have a busy day. Today we're studying Delilah. This Bible study that Jean Syswerda put together, she really does follow the Bible in order of Genesis first going on. It looks like on into Revelations, maybe not that far, but it looks like it. So we have been following basically the lineage of Christ is what I'm taking from a lot of it. Although when we get to Delilah today, I wasn't quite like we kind of jumped from Exodus and now we're going into Judges and we went to Numbers. So we kind of are jumping fast. I couldn't find, so Delilah is married to Samson. Samson and Delilah, remembered Samson? I think we all know the story where he had super long hair. It gave him the strength. And then Delilah found a way to get it cut, and then he had no strength again. His enemies actually got to her, tricked them, and they tricked him. So anyway, I didn't know much about Samson, but I did do some research, so we kind of know how does he fit in with the lineage of Christ, or is she still following that? You know what I mean? So going back, we have now covered, we're at number 15 in our ladies. And we've covered, there's been all kinds of lessons. We talked about Adam and Eve, the original sin. We talked about Sarah and Abraham, and then Hagar, which was Sarah's handmaiden, and Sarah was 90 when she had a baby and didn't believe it, so she had Hagar lay with her husband Abraham, and then there was all kinds of problems. Then we talked about Lot's wife, who didn't believe what the angels told her, and they told her not to look back at a city, Sodom, that was burning, and she did and turned to a pillar of salt. So that's another lesson. We talked about Rebecca, how she ended up marrying Isaac, which is Abraham's son. Then we talked about Rachel and Leah. One of Abraham's son, Jacob, actually loved Rachel, worked 7 years sort of as a dowry to pay for Rachel, but then the dad tricked him and gave him the older sister Mary instead of the younger one. He ended up marrying both of them, but worked 14 years for them. Then we talked about Tamar, daughter-in-law to Judah, who had married Judah. Now he kind of went away from what he was told to do as far as a lineage, and was going out with Canaanites, and he had 3 kids, 2 sons. The first one was married to Tamar and died, and so Tamar married the next son. The son wouldn't give her children, and then she was promised the younger son, but never got him, so she was barren. So she tricked her father-in-law into getting her pregnant. Then we talked about Potiphar's wife. That had to do with Joseph. Potiphar's wife was deceiving and wanted Moses and ended up lying about it. So then we talked about the mothers of Moses. There were 2, Jochebed and the Pharaoh's daughter. This is back when the Pharaoh ordered the death of all the firstborn male children. Jochebed was Moses's blood mother, and she hid him in the Nile, and then the Pharaoh's daughter found him and raised him. Then we talked about Miriam, who was Moses's older sister, and sort of her story of really jealousy about Moses and sort of what she went through. And then we talked about Rahab. Rahab was yesterday, and Rahab, oh, sorry, I'm skipping over some. So Rahab, let me think. Rahab. Geez. Gosh, see, it's good I'm going over that. Oh, okay, Rahab. Rahab was actually the prostitute who had her business on the outskirts of town, and she ended up saving 2 men coming through from the Israelites. They were going to take down the city, and because she helped them, they helped her and her family live. And then we talked about Deborah. Deborah was a judge and a warrior in that time. I like that story. I like it a lot. She actually went to war and set the Israelites free again. They had been in bondage originally, and that's when Moses helped free them. And then Deborah was a judge and a warrior during that time, and they were in slavery again because of they were worshiping false gods and things. And so Deborah helped free them again. Jael yesterday is who we talked about, and she actually also helped save the Israelites by putting a stake through one of the army that Deborah was fighting. The leader escaped, everybody else died. Jael put a stake through his head and killed him. Okay, so now we are at Delilah. So Delilah is our next lady that we're studying. And her name means dainty one. Dainty one. She's a harlot who's nationally, oh wait, hold on, sorry. A harlot whose nationality is unknown. She used her beauty to betray her lover and enrich herself. Judges 16:4-22. I feel like we know about Samson and Delilah. There's just always been stories about it through time. How she betrayed him and cut his hair, and his hair is what gave him strength. But he put himself sort of in that situation. He married the wrong kind. He was told not to marry into the certain kind of people, and he did, and so he fell into it, right? That's why we have to be careful. Samson fell in love with a woman whose name was Delilah. The rulers of the Philistines went to her and said, "See if you can lure Samson into showing you the secret of his great strength." Because Samson was super strength, and they wanted to find a way to subdue him or kill him, probably. So we may subdue him. Each one of us will give you 1,100 shekels of silver. So Delilah said to Samson, so she fell for it, and he was in love with her. "Tell me the secret of your great strength." Then she said to him, "How can you say I love you when you won't confide in me?" So Samson knew better than to do it and refused to tell her what his secret was. How long? But she kept wooing him, right? Because he was in love with her. I mean, one can only surmise that she was probably beautiful, dainty one. She must have been dainty. She knew what she was doing. "This is the third time you have made a fool of me and haven't told me the secret of your great strength." With such nagging, she prodded him day after day until he was tired to death. So he told her everything. No razor had ever been used on my head. When Delilah saw that he had told her everything, she sent word to the rulers of the Philistines, "Come back once more. He has told me everything." Having put him to sleep on her lap, she called a man to shave off the 7 braids of his hair, and so began to subdue him, and his strength left him. That's Judges 16:4-6. Okay, sorry, I was just reading it's pretty interesting what they're saying. Okay, so Delilah's life and times. Samson's hair obviously plays a key role in the story of his rise to power and his full fall from grace. He has grown it long, plaited it in several braids because of a Nazarite vow. And there's number 6, I guess, talks about it more, which I have Judges open. Good-looking Absalom, King David. Oh, here we are. It's King David's son. Okay, so King David's son. So we know where it's come. That's still in the lineage of Christ. So had so much hair that he had to cut it whenever it became too heavy for him. 2 Samuel 14:26. Remarkably, his shorn curls weighed as much as 5 pounds. But Absalom's luxurious locks eventually got the better of him. During battle, so it's Absalom long instead of Samson. During battle one day, his head got caught in the branches of a large oak tree. His massive hair, no doubt, contributed to the entanglement. The man who had tried to wrench the kingdom from his own father swung helplessly from the tree, an easy target for his enemies. Before being thrown to her death, Queen Jezebel not only painted her eyes but arranged her hair. The beautiful hair of the beloved in Song of Songs is compared to a flock of goats and a royal tapestry. Okay, she's talking about different. Sorry, I didn't understand. She's talking about different people's hair. So beloved in Song of Songs is compared to a flock of goats in a royal tapestry, while the lover's hair is described as wavy and black as a raven. Often the Old Testament writers describe living to old age, so old their hair turned gray, as a mark of God's favor and blessing. People who were mourning would cut or pull out their hair in great grief. Hair in their grief. Oh goodness. Ow. But I can, going through grief, I can see why you would want to. Wow. A sinful woman full of anguish for her sins poured perfume on Jesus' feet, washed them with her tears, and wiped them with her hair. By New Testament times, men were wearing their hair shorter and only women allowed their hair to grow long. Paul was pretty adamant about this in 1 Corinthians 11:6. Both Paul and Peter took time to warn the women of their day, specifically against braided hair, directing them to focus on inner beauty, not outward. Women, so our life and times, women today spend millions of dollars cutting, coloring, perming, and styling their hair. But remember, no amount of money or primping can cover up a lack of inner beauty. Before arranging your hair into a becoming style, be sure to arrange your spirit into a becoming demeanor. Then you'll be beautiful outside and in. That's pretty cool. Okay, so I downloaded another story about it. And I forgot to read my quotes as well, didn't I? Let's see, I did find some quotes from Samson and Delilah. Decisions. What causes the downfall of Samson was not Delilah, but a wrong decision and choice made in the mood of excitement. Peterson Simbatwe. Temptations, when we meet them at first, are as a lion that reared upon Samson, but if we overcome them the next time we see them, we shall find a nest of honey within them. Oh, that's a good one, huh? This one's kind of funny. Samson told Delilah loud and clear, "Keep your cotton picking fingers out of my hair." Okay, the next one is on Delilah. I had read a little bit about Samson, but we found out now he's King David's son. But also, remember, we just got done with Deborah, and we talked about Deborah and how she was a judge. So Samson was the 12th and last judge. He lived around the beginning of the 11th century BC, about 50 years before Saul became king. His strength was unparalleled. Rather than lead an army, he battled the Philistines single-handedly. That's why they wanted him dead, or to take his power away, right? He was a deeply flawed hero whose life was unduly entangled with the people against whom he fought. He violated a number of the 10 Commandments, as well as his Nazirite vow. Samson embodied in his own tragic, heroic life the traits that Israel exhibited during this period. While he was used of God for deliverance, and while he even called upon God on occasion to help him, his life was nevertheless one of continued unfaithfulness, just like that of a nation he judged. Samson's story opens with a typical statement about Israel's apostasy, but the rest of is a lengthy and atypical introduction to Samson. It details the encounter between Samson's parents and the angel of the Lord who announced Samson's birth and mission. So it sounds like Samson's mother was barren, and then the same thing, she had a child. So we know that Samson's tied to King David. So that's how the lineage is continuing on, right? The lineage of Christ that's where that falls in. Delilah is the only woman in the Samson story whose name is given. Whatever is etymology, her name is a word play on Hebrew Layla, night, which means night. For as the night overcomes the mighty sun, the name Samson, Shimson, is related to sun. So Delilah overcomes the apparently invincible strong man, Samson. The biblical story in which Samson falls in love with her and then the Philistines use her to learn the secret of his strength leaves us with more questions than answers about Delilah. She is not, as biblical women typically are, identified in terms of a man, husband, father, or brother. All we know is her name, which is the Hebrew name, and the place where she lives, the Valley of Sorek, which lays between Israelite and Philistine territory. She and Samson are apparently lovers but are not married. What is her status in society? Is she a wealthy widow like Judith? Sexually unautonomous woman like the women in the Song of Solomon? A harlot, as is commonly supposed? Delilah is not a harlot. Samson is the profligate, and it is perhaps because he visits a harlot in Judge 16, 1-3, that some readers conclude that Delilah is also a harlot. The phrase, and after that he fell in love with a woman, also links the two women. Delilah is not even called a Philistine, though it is usually assumed that she is because Samson is attracted to Philistine women. She has dealings with the Philistine rulers, and it is unlikely that the Philistines would seek to enlist the aid of an Israelite woman. And she betrays the Israelite hero to his enemies. And it is unlikely that a biblical author would portray one of his countrywomen doing such a scandalous thing without further comment. All are good reasons, but none is conclusive. Actually, only one of the three women with whom Samson is involved, his wife, so he's also married, is specifically identified as a Philistine. Delilah accepts a bribe to reveal the source of Samson's strength to the Philistines. The bribe would make sense if the woman was Israelite. She would probably need enticement to betray a leader of her people. Each of the Philistine rulers, probably 5 of them, representing the 5 important Philistine city-states, pays her 1,100 pieces of silver. On the other hand, if Delilah is Philistine, perhaps the bribe simply underscores what a treacherous woman she is. The text reports that Samson loves Delilah, 16:4, but not that she loves him. A hint, perhaps, that she does not love him and will have no qualms about betraying him. See, that's sad. He should have known that, right? 3 times Delilah tries unsuccessfully to learn the secret of Samson's strength. The Philistines instructs her to entice Samson, which suggests something sexual, but the text reports only her persistent questioning and nagging. She makes no secret of her intention. By the 4th time, it is apparent that she will carry out whatever procedure Samson describes. But Samson tells her anyway, and she cuts his hair, enabling the Philistine to capture him. The Hebrew text has Delilah's cut Samson's hair just as she did the binding twice and weaving of his hair. The text is rather difficult, however, and some of the versions introduce a man or a barber and have him cut Samson's hair. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Ooh, man, I kind of went fast today. I mean, thinking about Samson, here's another good quote. When the day is fully dried and stars could no longer hide, she glided from her wretched side, a blade to be laid upon his hair. When love had trimmed his might, the enemy rained down on him from the sky. Yeah, see, I guess we've all probably been in this situation where we really love someone and love's blind at times, right? So he was blinded by her and fell for her, she was probably good at it, knowing how to get the truth out of him. But it's still sad that he's been betrayed, I feel like. Okay, with that, I think I'm just going to do our devotion. I don't know. I must be going really fast because that was fast today. Today is May 7th. Beautiful. Going into the summer. Yesterday was about 80. If you learn to trust me, really trust me with your whole being, then nothing can separate you from my peace. Everything you endure can be put to good use by allowing it to train you in trusting me. This is how you foil the works of evil, growing in grace through the very adversity that was meant to harm you. Joseph was a prime example of this divine reversal, declaring to his brothers, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." Do not fear what this day or any day may bring your way. Concentrate on trusting me and on doing what needs to be done. Relax in my sovereignty, remembering that I go before you, as well as with you, into each day. Fear no evil, for I can bring good out of every situation you will ever encounter. Genesis 50:20, Psalms 23:4. Okay, that's about all I have today. Sorry, I'm just so busy. I've got to do more research, but I just running out of time. So many blessings to all of you. Have a very, very blessed weekend with family and friends. Enjoy the sunshine as we go into the warmer weather. And I will be back here on Monday. We're talking, let's see, we go into, that was Naomi's next. So that was Delilah. That's the 15th. 16th is Naomi. Her name means my joy or pleasant. So we're going to be talking about Naomi on Monday. And hopefully I'm a little bit, I don't know if I'm going to be more relaxed for another 2-3 weeks. But thank you for who all checked in on here. Much love and have a beautiful weekend.